Hi, Rob.
Hey, Candace, how are you doing?
That's a loaded question right now.
Yeah, you have a lot on your plate right now. You're a loaded potato.
I'm a loaded potato. Yeah, no, we are, husband Kyle and I feel like are just taking on a lot right now.
You guys are getting ready to do something very exciting.
Very exciting and scary.
Yes.
And creepy. We are gonna sell our house with my favorite realtor in the entire world.
And who is that?
It's Rob. It's you.
Do I know this guy? Imagine if you're like, and we're going to use this realtor. Not you. Which would have been fine, by the way.
It would have been really funny just to reveal that right now.
I mean, funny thing is, I would not have even been offended. Had you been like, we're going with this realtor, I would have been like, okay. Like, that is your choice. But I would
have not wanted to do like on the podcast, being like, and it's
there's no safer way, because I couldn't be like, and we're going to press stop. We'll be back in 3 minutes, folks. Imagine how passive aggressive the rest of it would be. It's like, yeah, back to this bitch Candace. Which I would never, obviously. I would not have cared, obviously.
Yeah. But we are using you. And so husband Kyle and I are packing up the house, removing all of the spooky stuff, which is a lot of spooky stuff.
It's everything you own.
It's everything I own. So
you should leave a couple of those dolls like in precarious places for the next 7 years.
Since I'm now, I'm an obsessive type A person, I've been on every single listing on Zillow. Mm-hmm. There was one house that I saw that there were photos in the corners. It was like an attic photo, right? People put like a life-size skeleton just sitting in the corner in a chair, or like a doll in the corner. I'm like, I want to go to this house now because of this.
Yeah. That's the smart. Actually, to be fair, it's probably a good marketing strategy, because even if people don't necessarily want to buy it, they'll come see the house, which will make it seem like it's. Like
we have the Hobbit house, which
that is true,
which may actually be part of the listing, because at this point in time,
you don't know how to get it out of here.
I'm just like, I can't deal with it right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot.
It's a lot. It's like 400, 500 pounds.
We'll just put a tarp over it. Tell them it's just wood under there.
I mean,
I'm just
really
kidding.
Cute,
I'm just kidding. Nobody.
It's a really cute little like Hobbit house that 2 humans can fit inside.
I think they can fit in it.
Yeah. No, you can sit in there.
I know. I'm just saying, because you make it seem like 2 humans can fit. People are gonna think there's like a little like guest house in your backyard.
No, it's not like it's like meant to be like a kid's play thing, but you can also like hang out in there summer days and stuff.
It is very cute.
It's cute. But then. So we're selling our house to then move to a new house. And so we're looking for...
I should hope so.
Yeah, we're not going to...
We've decided to become destitute and live on the streets.
So we're looking for that beautiful... I keep telling Rob, I'm looking for a Victorian spooky farmhouse full of really nice ghosts.
Literally. And the reference photo that she showed me, like literally just now, is the Munster home. So basically.
I was like, this is what I want. Make it happen.
Literally. So
but if we could also just put that on a hill surrounded by a cemetery, that'd be lovely.
Oh, you really want to like deep dive into this?
I'd be fine with that. I don't know if Kyle would be. I feel like
Kyle would be like, as long as there's a strong internet connection, I can.
It really is. Yeah. And then I showed him like this like TikTok video I saw this morning of like defining your taste, and what if it was like whimsical gothic, and I'm like, oh, that's me.
That's your drag name.
I am whimsical gothic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So like like the flowing drapery, the like stained glass windows, celestial vibes, plants. I'm
absolutely.
Like,
you and I are very similar in this way. I do not like modern. I do not like cookie cutter.
Disgusting.
I don't like. And since I've become a realtor, I have seen some very questionable taste. God, I should not be saying any of this. Nobody's going to ever want to use me now. By the way, if you do live in the northern part of New Jersey and are interested in selling or buying a home, please contact me. Anyway, after I just sat there and read everybody to film.
No, but there's like, everyone has different types and everyone likes different types of decor, and that's totally fine. I will
say though, like all of my listings so far, all of my buyers I've worked with have had, they've had really cool,
you've had good homes.
I have. They've been really, really beautiful. Not that there's anything. Oh God, I feel bad now. There's no like bad home. It's just,
no.
I see some of these things. Like my thing, to give people an idea of what I mean when I see like people have poor taste. Like I'll walk in for a showing, and I'll see people who have like recently painted everything in the house white and like didn't care if it dripped or anything. They just wanted to put a fresh coat of paint on. Or like I'll see like these old beautiful farmhouses that have been modernized, which makes sense for selling, but like from the outside you're like, oh, this is going to be like a beautiful home with a ton of character, and then you walk in and it's all like white gray and like granite and like and you're like, what happened here? Where are my pine wood floors?
And I told you, my dream is like the pumpkin flooring.
And I see it all the time now.
Now you know.
Yeah.
Now, because like I just dropped that little nugget of information about a pumpkin pine floor. Not pumpkin pine, but it's a pumpkin.
A pumpkin floor. You went full wiggle. It's a pumpkin spice floor.
The pumpkin floors, they're so beautiful. And
they really are.
I love it.
And the exposed beams. My favorite thing that I want so freaking... We're going to have to start like a friggin' housing podcast. Is... we get them a lot because we are in New Jersey and we are in northern New Jersey. Not that southern New Jersey is necessarily that different, but a lot of
there are some really cool Victorians in southern New Jersey.
There are.
In the Cape May area.
Yes. But like you get those like beautiful like old school kitchens and they have that giant like hearth fireplace.
Oh, you love it.
I want one of those
so
bad.
Because that's where you then cook your soups.
In a cauldron.
Yes.
The size of your body.
I have right behind me.
That is true. I mean, but hey, as everybody knows, I am an NPC at heart. And so you can use this cauldron, make a huge thing of soup, and then can it.
And then can it.
Yeah, and then you just can it. You get to be a witch for like an hour and a half while it cooks because it's a giant freaking thing. And then you get to go full on mom and back. I'm putting it in cans.
I'm just going to put it there.
Well, it's jars. It's so funny that we call it canning when realistically it's jarring.
Jars.
But
jarring.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I want that. I want
Me too. I want that.
I want the Victorian practical magic house. I want my little greenhouse to grow my plants that will most likely die because I keep some plants alive, not all of them.
It's okay.
And then
we won't judge you too much.
Or like a really beautiful farmhouse from like the 1800s.
Oh yes.
I hate this modern bullshit.
The big problem I have with a lot of modern construction is that there are certain ways to do like subdivisions. I hate subdivisions. I know for some people it really works for them. It is not for me.
Don't like it.
When it comes to subdivisions, like especially when through like learning about real estate and everything like that, obviously they're always cookie cutter predominantly, but it's mostly because then they can like just kind of give them all the same sale tag and sell them off individually and it's like easy.
Don't like it. Really don't like it.
I really hate it. And usually it's ugly. They're uninspired layouts. I don't love it.
Not to say that like I know people who like they gravitate towards that and it works for them. And like everyone has different tastes.
Everybody
and I get
should do what they want.
It's just for me, I mean, as you heard with the podcast, I love old stuff.
Yeah, and I just like I'm the same. Like I want like a vintage kitchen so bad.
I know you love the vintage kitchen.
Not like a true vintage, like not like a 50s vintage.
Oh no,
I want like a cute vintage.
Yeah. I love like the copper plate ceilings.
Oh, I don't like those that much.
Really?
Yeah, no, I don't really. I mean, I don't hate them.
I love
but
them.
I don't. They're not for me. I skew more towards like true farmhouse aesthetic because like there's a very predominant thing where people are like, I want farmhouse, but what they really want is what I lovingly refer to as the live laugh
I was gonna say
yes.
Live laugh love home goods farmhouse,
which is
everything
fine.
is slightly distressed.
Well, I don't. Right? I like the slightly
but purposely distressed. Like everything is.
Like I don't mind the distress. My thing is more like I just don't love it when people describe their house as a farmhouse and then everything is white. Oh. Because I like a functionality.
Like, where's the cow gonna sit?
Exactly.
Or the chickens?
Like when I think of like a farmhouse, I'm like, these are people who like work in the dirt. Or like people who'll be like, I love a farmhouse, and then like they'll buy like an old farmhouse that has like a like really cool stuff, like a butler's pantry, or like a root cellar, or like a cool
like one that I'm always gonna fall down.
Literally, like one of those like really steep stairways that has a door at the bottom. This way, if you do fall out, you don't fall in front of everybody.
You fall right into the door.
Exactly. Yeah. And they'll like take the door off, and they'll be like, we have to change the stairs. And, like I'm like, what you want is like a very modern aesthetic, which is cool and it's a nice one. I just don't know that I agree with that. I would call it farmhouse.
I have friends
I call it live, laugh, laugh.
that I met at my place of work, and they're no longer there, but they bought this beautiful farmhouse, and they are like so true to the farmhouse vibe. They have bees, and they have chickens in their backyard, and they're all so adorable, and they have that kind of like secret murder stairwell that I really love. And like their house is absolutely gorgeous, and it's like a beautiful, like the property next to theirs has like horses, so
they're
it's like
in the Princeton area, right?
Flemington.
Flemington.
So they just like their neighbors are horses. I'm just like, oh man,
I love that. Their neighbors are horses.
I was like,
nobody else lives there but horses.
I love it. So, Leanne and Jordan, if you're listening, I love your house very much.
It sounds like I would too.
Yeah.
And for all of you out there, if we said anything that you don't like, sorry about it. It's nothing personal.
We are
Everybody has their own
very
tastes.
judgy people.
I wouldn't say we're judgy. We're just very particular in our tastes.
Yeah.
I do not judge anybody for their tastes. I jokingly like say things like, "Oh, I've seen porn." I have not. Everybody has their own. I saw a house that was like very much inspired by like the Union Jack flag.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah, where they painted like sections of wood blue, and had like white, blue, and red.
That's
like,
a lot.
It was and I was like, but you know what? It's what you live in. So if that's what you want it to look like,
and that's the thing.
What you do.
At the end of the day, your house is your own style, and that is totally fine.
As long as you're comfortable and happy in it.
And to segue to our topic today, this creeps me out. In everybody's house, there could be a ghost,
which is not always fun to live with.
But it could be.
Could it?
Do you know how old Casper the Friendly Ghost is?
I don't, because he's not real.
Okay.
How old is he?
So.
Well, I saw the movie, and he didn't look that old in the movie.
Okay, I'm not talking about like if you cut the rings off.
If you cut him in half and count the rings, how old is Casper?
No. Like, how old was Casper created? And I looked this up today because I was just kind of curious. Really early, like early part of the 20th century. His design was made.
Or 1800s.
I'm sorry, early 20th century.
So 1900s.
Yeah, 1900s, early 1900s. Like 1930s was like when the concept was kind of really made. Like I think 1939.
That makes sense based off of how old he is in the movie.
And then, does it?
Yeah, because in the movie, like they kind of like allude to when he was alive and like how like. It had something to do with the sled, right? Like he like went sledding and he got cold, and then
my dad got sad.
Yeah, my dad got sad because he got he got sick or like with pneumonia or something.
Yeah. Kyle likes to quote this.
Why?
I got cold, and my dad got sad, and then I died. Yeah. It's not it, but
like now he lives with his 3 uncles who were buttheads.
Yes, but like that's actually like part of like the canon early on of Casper. That he had these 3 like nasty uncles, and then he was like a big cartoon, like literal like comic book from like early part of like the 1930s and 40s, and then different comics and stuff. And then 1995, I think he was then turned into the movie.
I love that movie.
Love it.
Mainly for
the house.
Well, besides the house is really beautiful.
Amazing.
It's beautiful and amazing.
Yeah, another dream house. Write that down.
Yeah, like literally, like who doesn't want to randomly find like all of those secret passages that lead to like
literal
a secret
dream
basement.
and like what do they call it? The Rue something machine? The one that like the machines that like if you press a button it then makes something, like the breakfast machine.
Oh, I can't remember. The thing I remember more than anything, because I was a little gay boy and
Were you?
I was. It turns out, and little gay boys love bitchy older women. And so I can't remember what her name is in the movie, but Kevin and I will literally look at each other, and it doesn't matter whether we're holding plates, forks, the salt shaker, we will hand them, we go, these are for you. Because that's what she does it every time. And it's the flowers when she walks in, she does not care. When she's like, dibs. Our other favorite is when she crashes the car, and then when she like, sorry, spoiler if you've never seen Casper from 1995 or whatever it is, and she gets out and she's like, and she didn't realize that she was like off the cliff even though the car wasn't. So she gets out and she's like, ah! Like the way she screams is the funniest thing. It is. Oh my god, she was everything in that movie.
She was quite amazing.
Yeah. Oh my god.
But Casper is the friendliest ghost, you know.
He is.
And to me that is one of the goals of Finding Mouse.
Okay, so again, random. Sorry, forgive me. Do you know who played Casper in the movie when he comes back like as himself for like 10 minutes like Cinderella weirdly?
No.
It was Devon Sawa.
Who's he?
You don't know who Devon Sawa is?
No.
Okay. So did you ever see Final Destination?
Like barely.
The first one?
No.
The main dude?
I don't remember.
Wow. Devon Sawa was a really big deal in the 2000s and late 90s.
I'm sorry and disappointing you.
Yeah, he was a heartthrob, and he played.
I remember
young Casper.
watching Casper when I was a young 90s girl, and I remember being like, oh, he is the cutest boy in the whole world.
Well, it was Devon Sawa.
Yeah, no, he's still like, he pops up on TikTok all the time and be like, this was
Really?
like, people were like, we did not deserve this.
We did not deserve Devon Sawa. But yeah, now we are 15 minutes in.
And we're talking about ghosts.
We are, but
we're talking about Casper.
It's my fault. It's like Orlando Bloom. I just keep going backwards.
You just...
And bring back
little
to that.
gay boy.
Yeah. Did you know Cameron thought I was stoned when we recorded that? I say that every time, like, we film in front of a live studio audience.
With the last one?
Yeah, he was like, he asked me, because I was like, what did you think of the Orlando Bloom
like the little
moment?
segment?
Yeah, because I was like, I was a little bit worried. I was like, I don't know how that came across. And he was like, it was funny. Were you stoned? And I was like, no.
That's like the 2 hours of the day that I'm not.
I know. I'm out of weed at this point. But yeah, so if you thought I was stoned on the last episode, I was not.
No,
Cameron.
that was just normal.
Yeah,
Rob
that's
and
just
Candace.
me.
And the one before that, though, I had the Mead.
Yeah, that was really funny.
I
actually listened to that the other day, and it was really funny.
Now that one got me good. That was a very strong Mead.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Especially towards you kind of came a little bit out of it towards the end, but in the beginning of the episode,
man,
you were very it was funny.
Yeah. No, I think I gotta like go back to the Mead. The next one.
Yeah, it was fun.
I think we bring it in here and there.
Yeah, we'll just do this podcast. We're just slowly but surely we will just become more and more intoxicated as the episodes come out to the point where we're just like Hannah's
Yeah, but no, today I'm having caffeine, which is another substance, but I can't live without caffeine. I love coffee very much.
Do you really?
I really love coffee.
I never drink coffee.
Yeah, it's insane to me.
You know who else said that? My dad. He was like, "You don't drink coffee at all?" I'm like, "No."
You don't have any source of caffeine?
No.
You just like wake up and you're like, I'm awake?
I don't have a choice.
No, but like for me,
if I don't wake up one day, that's generally a problem to most people. So.
Like, Philip, my brother, he's allergic to caffeine.
Is he really?
Yeah.
That's a weird allergy. I've never heard of that one.
Yeah, like if he has caffeine, he gets sleepy.
Really?
So it's the adverse effect.
He's like, and his face puffs up and his throat closes. And he's like, Candace, do I look weird?
No, so he can't have anything caffeinated.
He can't have soda then.
Well, he can have like Sprite.
Yeah, well, there's some like non-caffeinated
Yeah, he doesn't
ones.
like. Well, I think he used to drink Coke once in a while, but he then.
I mean, they have non-caffeinated.
Yeah,
Coke, so
but like
it's
he prefers.
But back in
Sprite.
the 90s, he probably couldn't have soda.
Yeah. I know everything was caffeinated. Yeah, but we're talking about ghosts.
Yes, and this is a very cool episode because
you're gonna share some personal stories.
Yeah. Do you have any? I mean, aside from the one you told us already,
I think I mentioned the archive story before, right? Like that I couldn't open the door.
No, you should actually know that you should tell us about some of the ghosts you told us about. Some of those stories are really sorry.
You're having like a moment.
I know. A lot of things are going through my brain, but
yeah.
my mouth has a really tough time keeping up because I don't drink caffeine. So for those of you out there who don't know, Candace works at. Do you care if I say?
No, it's fine.
She works at Drew University, and she works in the archives there. Mm-hmm. And one day, we went to go see an exhibit you did.
Yeah.
And you took us on a tour through the archives, which was very, very cool.
Oh, thank you.
And we went to this one section where nobody really ever gets to go unless you're with somebody who works at the archives, which, by the way, they have not changed anything since the 70s, so I felt like I was in a movie.
Yeah.
And but some of the stories you told us while we were like in the actual archives and things were creepy as shit. So you should tell some of those while we
Sure. Yeah. Well, I'll start there because I think they're creepy, but to me, I always think of a haunted house as the creepiest, which you have.
I don't know. Haunted
those.
houses creep me out, but there's something to be said about being in a really big building by yourself.
True.
And it's fucking haunted.
Okay, so as Rob said, I work at the archives, and it's a very big building, and because we have a lot of very sensitive, rare, expensive material,
you guys have a lot of really cool stuff there.
We do. We have amazing manuscripts. We have a Greek creator from the 4th century BCE. We have some rare books, first editions. We have really everything. We have 100,000 rare books and manuscripts.
You guys have like and aside from just like manuscripts, books, paintings. You guys have clothing. It's like an actual museum in there.
Oh yeah, no, it's pretty insane, and I feel like every day we discover something or rediscover something new.
That's been like sitting in there.
Yeah.
There's things in there that you guys don't even necessarily know what they are, right? Because there was like you telling me about there's like certain places where like things had been kept, and then those people left, and nobody realized they were in there. And,
that happened to me this week.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
So like
it's
that's
kind of like I had
me.
no idea that there's this one part of campus, that there was this one building that in the basement there was the remains of like this museum. So
that's
like,
incredible.
I mean, like people knew about it on campus, but I had no idea. So we have items down there from like archaeological digs.
Really?
Yeah. So like I was down there.
You're gonna. Okay, I'm just saying. This is how The Exorcist started. You're gonna open a box and you're gonna be like, "What is this totem?" And then boom, you're possessed.
Oh no, I saw like things down there. I mean, like, and this is like they've been like so many papers written about these studies. But one of them I just like saw in this one tray down there was clearly like the jawbone of a human, just like down there, and I'm just like, cute.
Cute. Yeah. I don't know if that would be my reaction.
No. I'm fascinated by it. I really want to spend some time kind of getting myself familiar with that collection more and then promoting it with our students.
Well, when were the Drew Archives started?
Good question. So the building was built in 1980, I think.
Okay.
But that does not mean the collection started in 1980.
Yeah, it probably started way before that, right?
Yeah, so with the start of the school, which was in, I think, 1867, it was a theological school, and they were like, okay, a school needs a library, obviously, right? So then...
Traditionally, yes.
Traditionally.
If you want to say it's a good one.
Yeah. President McClintock at that time then started a book buying expedition and gave people...
I can think of his beep when people say McClintock, sorry.
Because before the library was basically like, and this one building on campus called Mead Hall, professors would just put their personal collections in that part of the building, and that was the library.
Okay.
But that's not substantial for a library, especially for a theological school. So McClintock gave these people to then go to Europe and buy books. And they bought books and then came back, and that's how we have some of our really amazing books in our collection.
That's fair. You guys have one that you showed us that like...
The Nuremberg Chronicle from 1493.
Was that the one that was like really colorful and really can't be handled? And it's only like one of how many?
So that one is actually what you would call as an incunabula, which means it's a Latin word for in the cradle. Baby, because it's called in the cradle because it's one of the earliest printed books. So in the like early part of printing history, that's why it's like.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
but there's how many of them were there even?
There, about of the Latin 1493 edition, there is around 1,200 that still survive.
Okay.
Less, I believe, for the German edition. So that's the most popularly printed book from the incunabula period.
Okay.
But we do have others that are not as popular.
Okay.
But our copy of the Nuremberg Chronicle, I would argue, is one of the most beautiful ones that still are around to this day. It is extremely fantastically hand-colored. And I looked at a ton of different ones throughout, like I've been doing this project called the Pope Joan Project. We've been comparing images throughout other Nuremberg Chronicles, and ours is truly like one of the most amazing. Love that collection. Yeah.
And you showed it to us in a room where you had a piece of a body.
The thumb bone of George Whitefield.
That's it.
Yes. Sorry, I was just like, which body part? Yeah, there's a Methodist preacher that we have the thumb bone upstairs in the classroom.
And that room's haunted, right?
Yeah, so one of the people who used to work at the archives...
Because Jasmine Rice-LaBeija was in there.
She was in that room, so was Pissy Miles.
Yeah.
And
Jasmine brings ghosts with her wherever she goes.
Yeah, but that was not related to George Whitefield. One of my coworkers was working on the Holocaust collection, and he was processing the collection, which processing is a term you use for archival collections, which means that you are going through and basically organizing.
Yeah.
And he then was spending a lot of time going through, obviously, when this is a very horrific collection to go through because it's very sad and disturbing images.
And you're getting the full-blown, like, non-censored version of it.
Yeah, and having to then document, so everything has to be... It's a lot. It's very hard. So he spent the entire summer when you're doing that, and then he was putting together in this box one of a uniform of a Nazi soldier. Okay. So you then, when you're putting clothing in a box, you have to, like, put the sleeves full of like certain archival safe tissue paper because you don't want the fabric to kind of like collapse onto itself.
Okay.
So he was doing that, and then out of the corner of his eye, he saw a figure that looked like a man wearing that Nazi uniform.
Really?
And that's when he was like, I'm done for the day.
Yeah.
He like put the box down, walked out of the classroom, and was like, no.
Yeah.
That same coworker, he'd shared with me, so like with our building, obviously you have to like lock it up really, really well.
Yeah.
So we have like a ton of different keys. We have a special key for the elevator. We have a security code to get in and out of the building. Like it's it's Fort Knox, and it should be.
As it should be. Yeah, because there's a lot of very incredible things in there.
And we have motion sensors, which means that like when you're locking up for the day, if the motion sensor...
Oh my God, no!
Yeah. So
no.
This has not happened to me, but I always think about this when I'm locking up. So he was the last one in the building, and which means like no students, no other staff were in the building, and you have to then like shut all the lights down, make sure the doors are closed. Then you can like lock up and then like do the code, keys, all of like, everything. Like it's a multi-step process. And he's about to he's trying to enter the code to leave, and it says like not working, which means that like something is open. And he knows he closed everything.
Oh,
so,
no. This is like the beginning of a horror movie.
Yeah,
it
is.
God,
so then
no.
he's seen then on the code, the machine, the security thing, that there's movement. It's showing like movement in like zone 1, zone 2, zone 3. And it's like getting closer and it's a huge building. So it's like, he's like, nope.
I would have just left. I wouldn't have cared.
No,
I've been like, that student is living there.
He like locked it up and then like called like campus security to be like, you gotta go in and like figure something out. Like gotta
Which
put the code in.
security, they were like, they don't pay me enough.
No,
there's
so like
no
that
way.
that was his stories. And then like I've heard that a previous head of special collections used to hear what do they call it, calliope music of like kind of like
music?
Old like circusy timey like
Oh fuck that, like Pennywise the Clown music? No thank you.
And then like he heard like
No.
a child giggle or something.
No.
Which is always the worst type of ghost.
I have a story about that, yeah.
And then the story, I had a student worker who was working in the art vault. I think I brought you down there. It's through the tunnel area.
Yeah, this one freaked me out. I think one of the most.
Well, she was there's like 2 floors to the tunnel vault, and she was in there on the 2nd floor, and she looked down, and then she saw what looked like the feet of a Victorian ghost. Okay. Like just the feet. So she came upstairs and she was like, Candace, was anyone down there? I was like, no, you were by yourself. She's just like, I saw some feet.
I saw some feet.
And I was like, but like that got us starting to like be a little bit more anxious about that room.
Yeah.
And last semester in the fall, I sent 2 of my students down there to get some boxes from one of the like sections of the vault.
I don't blame you for sending students.
And so I gave them my keys, and I was like, okay, you go down there. I told them the process. You use this key, and then they're like, they come up like 5 minutes later, and they're like, Candace, the key's not working. I'm like, which key did you use? And they showed me, and they're like, it's not working. I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, like, they're not doing this right. So
you're not graduating.
Yeah. So I go with them down the stairs.
Yeah.
And these are 2 of like my strongest students. So I'm just like, I know like something's weird. So I go with them to the vault, and I use the correct key, and it's not budging.
Really?
And this is this like, how some locks you kind of get like things aren't normally like, maybe if it's always a tricky lock, it won't work, or like, but this one is always very easy to open. Okay. So I was like, this is weird.
This is strange. Yeah.
So it wasn't opening, and they're like, yeah, it's not working. Like, so they're like, yeah, we didn't mess up. So it was silence though, and we could hear behind the door something moving.
What?
And it sounded like when you have like a cardboard box on the ground and someone's pushing it. So it's like you hear like that sliding sound.
Like that shh. Yeah. Like...
Exactly. We heard that.
Oh, no, thank you.
And there was like the door's locked. There's
nobody's in
people never close that door when you're in there. It's like, it was like you leave the door ajar and you're in there with the lights on.
And even then somebody would be like, hey, oh, sorry, I'll open it for you.
Yeah, no, but like it would not open. So then I called one of my coworkers and I was like, have you tried opening the vault at all? And then so he went down there, and then he used his key, was not working. So that means my key and his key are both not working on the vault. So I called like facilities. I was like, did you by chance change the locks on me?
Yeah.
And they're like, no, what's going on? I was like, my key's not working, my coworker's key's not working,
and there is somebody fucking in there right now.
And I was like, what is going on? Like, I need to go in there.
No, thank you.
And so then they called a locksmith to come in, and I
think the locksmith.
What's weird is that I think like he was scheduled to come like 2 days after we noticed something was wrong.
Okay.
And then my coworker went the next day, and it opened.
Of course.
The same key.
That's weird.
So it's like something was not letting us get into the vault.
Yeah. They were rearranging. They're like, I'm moving.
Yeah.
Please leave me alone.
The chi was not right. Needed to rearrange.
Yeah, like, I'm just rearranging the vault. Need you guys to come back.
So that was my own experience.
That you guys got robbed and haven't you realized it yet?
It was scary. The vault, I mean, is like a pretty scary part of the building because it's like...
It's in that one hallway that I didn't like.
Yeah, so there is a tunnel between the archives and the library, and it's underground, and...
That's where they heard the music, right?
It was a different part of underground, but yeah.
Oh, you know what I'm thinking of? Because Joe played the Pennywise music
yes, he did.
in the tunnel because I wanted to kill him.
No, but it's a scary part of the building. And now, since like our story has been getting around, people are now like, oh, the archives is haunted.
And now they all want to go in there.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I'm fine with. We do every October a ghost tour with the students. Which is very cool. Which is cool. So we get into all the haunted places on campus, and there are quite a lot of scary spots on campus.
You should tell the story about that one dorm.
The
all-girl dorm?
Oh, yeah. So there's one dorm across from the archives called Hoyt. And I think there's 4 floors to that building. And on the second floor, there was a ghost. Well, it's supposed to be a ghost in this one room of a student. And we know the student actually died in the room. There was a report, I think it was in the Christian Advocate, which is a periodical from the 20th century, of a student. He got electrocuted. What happened was it was... cold winter, raining outside, kind of sleet, and he came in and he then put his socks on the radiator, and there was no like electrical current that was near his lamp, and unfortunately something went wrong and he got electrocuted. Okay. And students smelled the burning and then saw him in his room. Yeah, awful, very sad, disturbing.
Yeah.
And that room is supposedly haunted on the second floor.
I can imagine why.
Yeah. I think it's like room 217 or something like that. And then...
Sorry to whoever lives in 217.
Yeah, if you go
You didn't burn popcorn, it's just the ghost.
If you go to... I'm forgetting our site. I think hauntedDrew.com. We have all of our
I'm
stories.
forgetting the site hauntedDrew.com.
Yeah, we made hauntedDrew.com in the fall of 2020 when we couldn't do our ghost tours because of the
that's
pandemic.
smart. Is that the same time that you guys did the security camera thing? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, so we then also filmed some pretty hokey ghost story videos where I was the ghost in a lot of them, running around.
Of course.
So there's a famous ghost in Mead Hall, that building I talked about earlier that had the library, and that ghost is the woman in white. So
this one is freaky.
People
this one's really freaky.
Have claimed to see a woman walking around the hallways. I feel like everything always goes back to like a lady in white story, right? Like a woman like wearing a long white dress and very
just
spooky.
Like crying and moaning. Yeah.
That building I think was built in 1830s if I'm not wrong. So it's pretty old.
Yeah.
And it's gorgeous. I love Mead Hall. And it's a mansion. It's fantastic. But I got to like record myself dressed in a white dress, walking through the hallways, and I was scaring my coworker, Brian, and like chasing him.
Of course.
It was pretty hilarious. But that building, there was a fire in the 90s. Mm-hmm. And firefighters obviously went in and got everyone out, but then one guy said, there's a woman in white down there. Mm-hmm. And so the firefighter went in, and then he because that's when he saw her, he went in to go get her. She was no longer to be found.
Yeah.
It was the ghost.
Isn't that the one that only girls can live there?
No, so that's the same.
Sorry.
Hoyt was the same area with the guy who got electrocuted. It's the same dorm. Mm-hmm. But on the 4th floor, it's an all-girls floor. And that's one of the reasons is because there's supposedly a ghost on the 4th floor of Hoyt. Mm-hmm. This ghost hates men. There's many legends associated with the ghost of the 4th floor. Mm-hmm. People say something to do with the Civil War or some war or a sailor, that somebody did a woman wrong on that, or like in that building or somewhere near that building, to then cause a woman ghost to survive and then kick guys' butts.
Okay.
So
she slept with a Minuteman.
like one of the stories was it's like she got like spurned, she got raped, she committed suicide.
Okay, yeah, that's sad.
So like something happened. then there's many variations of the story, as ghost stories often
typically
have.
go. Yeah.
But I have heard many stories from students saying that, like, oh, like, my boyfriend stayed over, and then, like, his his wallet was getting moved in the room to, like, mess with him.
Okay.
Guys have said that they've been pinched or, like, hurt in some ways by the ghost.
Oh, wow.
So, like, people are, like, known
I'm
to not like
tempted
the
to
fourth
go
floor.
there now.
I've been there, and it is, I mean, I'm not a guy, so but, like, I've been there with, like, some of my coworkers to film some areas, and we haven't seen anything, but I think it's, like, when you're least expecting it. One of my student workers told me she thought she saw a soldier on the fire escape outside that building because she lives in Hoyt.
Really?
Yeah. No, it's I think the 9th most haunted school in the States.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's a lot of
What's
ghosts.
1 through 8?
Oh, I don't know.
I feel like Princeton might be one of them.
Yeah, or like George, like
It's probably going to be Harvard, because Harvard has to be number 1 with everything.
But it's a pretty, it's a haunted school. We have, like I said, the woman in white. We have the 2 ghosts in Hoyt. There was a woman in blue, supposedly. There's an arboretum on the campus, and there's a lake in that arboretum. And some people have claimed to see a woman kind of, like, floating above the lake and, like, or through the woods. Yeah.
Oh,
wow. Someone has also claimed to see some people haunting, like, the laundry rooms in the basement of buildings. Somebody submitted a video to the website where they rolled a ball down the hallway, and it, like, stopped, and then it rolled back.
Could that just be topography, though?
I don't know. Okay. All I know is, like, if you go to hauntedtrue.com, there's a ton of people that, like, because we have them post accounts. We have
that's very cool.
I'm proud of our site.
Yeah,
and my coworker Danielle, she designed the site to look like a 90s desktop. So you can, like, click on the different things, and, like, you can move the files around, actually, and, like, it's really cool. Cute. And, like, your icon is a skull.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Surprise.
So, we had a fun time with it, and then we tell the stories in our videos of, like, what is the legend, and then we did overnight recordings of those areas.
I love that.
So all of the recordings went well, except we have one building on campus called SW Bound Hall. And this building was built after Oxford's Dining Hall. So Oxford's Dining Hall is known primarily as the dining hall in Harry Potter.
Oh, that was a very cool room.
Very cool room. So we set up a camera in that room to do an overnight recording, because people have claimed that the chandeliers sway in there. And the recording stopped working after an hour. So we set it up at, like, 7 o'clock, and then at 8 o'clock it shut down.
Really?
Yeah, and we didn't have that problem at any other building on campus.
Yeah.
So
did you try it again? Or?
We didn't try it again. We were going to maybe try again in the future. Just didn't happen.
Okay.
But we did have some alumni get pretty angry. They're like, "You didn't try again? Like,
you should do it. You should do it again. See what you get."
It was interesting. And I really want to try, like, the tunnel vault as well.
Yes. You should totally put one in the art vault.
Oh yeah. No.
Oh my God.
It's so, like, it's cool. And, like, we did see in Mead Hall on our overnight cams some weird things happen. Like, the camera started shaking at one point. We saw this orb come down a hallway at one time. So all
there
that's
are
on
some
hauntedtrue.com.
really, like, in the the main, I want to call it, like, a house, because I think it originally was, like, a house, like, where, like, the president's offices and everything.
Yeah, that's Mead Hall.
Oh, that's Mead Hall. Okay,
Yeah.
In Mead Hall, when you took me downstairs to, like, where, like, the quarters were, like,
where, like, the servants' quarters were.
Yeah, like, it was creepy down there.
And that's where we recorded.
Yeah.
Like, we had, like, 3 cameras set up, because there's also a haunted painting there that supposedly shifts around.
Yeah.
Roxana Mead Drew.
Was that her name from the Harry Potter? Otherwise, I felt bad, because I was like, with Milo, going to be like the bearded lady. I'm like, it was that fat chick, which is terrible. I'm just kidding.
The painting is Roxana Mead Drew. So it was the wife of Daniel Drew, one of the founders of Drew University, and she was not a happy woman. And the painting, like, moves.
That's so cool.
And we had cameras set up
there. If you just be like, Vigo, do you think?
No, so that one, that's really cool. And then, the quarters, we got some weird footage. It was really scary when we set it up, because there was this, like, plastic bag on the ground that almost looked like a body bag. And I was like, I don't want to be in this room. We had a really good time kind of setting up the site and recording some stuff. It's a fun job. I like my own job. Everything about it is really cool. Working with the artifacts, but then also kind of, like, being on a haunted campus.
Yeah.
So, those are, I think, I have not had any haunted experiences myself. I'm like, I
really at all.
I have like, you know, trying to open that door and I hear things behind it, but I would love to see a ghost. And okay,
it is pretty cool. I will say it's pretty cool.
Saying it's something I know is very, in a way, naive, because it's just like, you could get super scared.
I don't think it is, because it is pretty cool.
And I think for me, like, I'm not a religious person. I think a lot of that is due to the fact that I study religion. Yeah. And I'm just kind of like, beepity beep boop. Like, like I get it. I know why this is all happening. And so, but to see something supernatural in person, like, to me, I think would make me feel like there's something else out there. Yeah. And I love studying the history of ghosts and folklore, and to then be a part of seeing something would be amazing. I was looking at, before our episode today, kind of like stats on like how many people believe in ghosts or like have seen ghosts. And I think like there was a study done, let me just pull up the figures, I think it was in like 2008. 2009, there was a study done by Pew Research Center, and 18% of Americans say they have seen a ghost.
I believe that. I actually think it's probably higher than that, realistically.
Well, say they have seen a ghost. The belief in ghosts is a lot higher. I think it was around, when they did a study in like 2014, I think it was around like 46% or something like that. Yeah. Which, that's a significant amount to claim that nearly half the population believes in something.
Well, I mean, so obviously, I have.
You have. You've had many ghost encounters.
Yeah, I have a lot. We
don't have to go. I think we could like scatter them throughout some episodes, because we're definitely going to be returning to ghosts. Yeah. But I would love to hear some of your stories.
Okay. I mean, so I have. Okay, so the first ghosts. Okay. Sorry. Hold on, let me think of how I want to. Okay. Sorry. This is how my brain works. So my first actual experience with ghosts started when I was a teenager, and we jokingly, but not jokingly, love to blame Kevin for this. So Kevin, of our family, Kevin was like, I want to say Kevin was the first. It might have been Sam, but Kevin was one of the first people to like dabble with like Wicca and witchcraft and that kind of. And I'm not saying that as like an Ed and Lorraine Warren type of like paganism, demons, demons, paganism. They're trying to kill us all. No, it's a normal religion. But because of that, Kevin decided he wanted to do this, like, I don't want to say like a seance, but like a seance in our bedroom, which
not know that.
You didn't know this? No. So Kevin went to, I don't think it's there anymore, but he did work there for a while. He went to Success Express.
The store in Westfield, right?
In Westfield, which, what a weird name for a Wicca store.
Success Express.
Right? It's so bizarre.
This is where I go to get all of my success.
Literally, but Express, because I'm lazy and I don't want to do it for a long time.
I have no time.
Yeah, I have no time.
I have no time.
I need my success hastily, and I need it now. Yeah. So,
and Westfield, remember, listeners, that's where the story of the Watcher
happens. That's where the Watcher, and that's also a pretty, like, it's like a historic town. There's a lot of
town.
Yeah. So, but
there are Victorians there. I just cannot afford them.
You don't want to live in Westfield. No. Sorry to everybody out there who lives in Westfield. Anyway, so it was me, Kevin. Oh God, and which of our friends? I know Megan was there. I think there was somebody else, maybe Ashley. I don't. There was a couple of us in there.
Oh, so this was not just like Kevin with his black eyeliner on doing a seance.
No. But this was Kevin as what's her face from the Poltergeist. Now let's go get shit on. No, because so he wanted to do this, and it was like, obviously, like, we were probably meddling with something we shouldn't have been meddling with. I mean, I'm still a type of person, I would love to have a Ouija board, but still, I don't at the same time. So we're sitting there, and Kevin bought like a bunch of candles and like
I thought it was candy. I was like,
a bunch of candy.
Type of candy?
Well, you gotta have refreshments at the seance. You can't have a seance without refreshments.
Oh my God, we should do that.
I would. I'm fat enough. I need refreshments. I'm like, we should take a lunch break. So we're sitting there, and Kevin is like, and honestly, we were like 16 at the time, which I hate to say was like half a lifetime ago for me.
Oh, I know. I realized it the other day. I was like, oh God. I know. And you turn 32.
Don't even. It's only a month before you don't even with me, bitch. But so we were like in the middle of doing this, and I don't remember if there was like a spell or like just talking or like whatever, but the windows were shut.
Okay.
And at one point, it felt like weird in the room. And like Kevin, I remember Kevin saying like, is it like, he was specifically reaching out kind of thing.
Okay. So he opened
a door.
He opened a metaphysical door.
Yeah. As far as we know. Yes. All right. So at one point, all of the candles' flames went horizontal.
No.
Yeah. And there was no wind in the room. It was nothing like that.
What?
Yeah. It was like really weird. And he ended it properly where it was like, you know, now you must go. You are not welcome to stay. Like blah, 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 blah. Well.
So like in the seance, like this is obviously I'm going off of movies or things that I've read. You're calling out to talk with somebody, or was he just trying to like see if something was there?
I mean,
what was the purpose of the seance?
Honestly, I think he was just trying to see, like, I think we were all just kind of like dabbling with something. We were like 16 at the time.
You're just like, is there something out there?
Yeah, exactly. And you want to have an experience. So,
Okay,
nothing really.
I mean, I would do this now. It's almost 32.
I mean, I would do it. Yeah. I would do it right after we finished recording this.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was literally just like, you know, we were just kind of having fun, but it felt kind of weird. Some things happened and like whatever. And, you know, I was not the type of person, like I had never had a ghost experience before that. I had never, so I was like, okay, whatever, you know, and, I'm the type of person, I'm open to things, but I do like some kind of proof.
You're a bit skeptical too. Yeah, which I am as well. Yeah.
A healthy amount of skepticism is important. So after that, shit got a little weird. So let's see, what's a good one to start with?
See, I don't know why. And like, I've listened to the stories many a time before, and oh my God, I've known you for like a long time. I just realized.
Yeah, a long time.
Because like
more than half of our lives.
Yeah. I feel like I've always just been like, I've known Ron for 10 years. I'm like, no, a lot longer than that now.
We've been friends since what, junior year of high school, and it's like what that was like what, 3 years ago.
Yeah, I know, but like. But we were friends then. But like, I
we
knew
you
way
before.
But like, but. Oh, God.
Yeah, I know. It gets weirder and weirder with each year that passes.
Yeah. But I always thought for some reason that you guys were haunted at like a super young age.
Well, I mean, my sisters have stories from our first house.
Okay, that's what I must be thinking.
And when I remember being little and like really little, like 4, actually I would be even younger than that, like 3 or 4. And being upstairs, and this was probably just me being 3 or 4, and feeling like I could hear like marching on the steps kind of thing, coming up the stairs to like where our bedrooms, and it used to freak me out. Obviously, nothing ever came in. And that's also why, as a kid, I didn't like it when our door was open, because it felt like anything that was outside could just come in. Yeah. So that was probably just me being 3 or 4. But I know my sisters had like actual ghost stories from the room across the hall from us.
Okay.
I don't remember having anything like that. We did have a really creepy closet in that room, but
every closet is a creepy closet.
That's true. But this was a creepy closet. And it wasn't a particularly big one, but it was creepy. But so the first thing what was the first one that happened? The first big one. The first big one that happened was, it was, okay, so to make things really, it was like weird. For like a while after that, like little things happened, but nothing extraordinary.
Like chairs stacked themselves in the kitchen.
No, not quite. It was like, so after that, like things like little weird things happened, but anything like substantial. It wasn't until I was about like 18. So like 2 years like went by.
Oh, okay.
Which is weird. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if my other siblings have other stories, but for me, it was like 2 years went by before anything really started to happen.
Well, I remember hearing that Sam had some things about the closet in her room.
I think she was just afraid of it.
Okay.
There's a weird closet in there.
Okay.
Yeah, but things I don't know what like escalated it, but I like to blame Kevin for that. It could realistically be something else entirely. I just like to blame Kevin for the seance thing, because for all we know, I mean, he did say like, wherever you are, like you're not welcome to stay, so maybe that worked and then something else happened.
Okay.
But I just like to blame him for it because it's funny, and because a lot of the things that happened later centered around Kevin, so maybe it was something that happened later that then brought this all back.
Could have been all at Success Express.
All that Success Express, yeah. So one night, me, Kevin, and Joe used to share a bedroom, which was the master bedroom. My father was nice enough to give us that since it was sizable and there was 3 of us in there. And Joe had already gone off to college, and I had now also gone to college. But I would come home on the weekends because I didn't like to stay. Mm-hmm. So I would come home Thursday night, and then I'd be home Friday through Sunday. Was it Thursday? It doesn't matter. Like you guys need the day. One night we were there, and Kevin had been having like occurrences, like to the point like where he was sleeping with the TV on, just like a blue screen.
Okay, wasn't it Finding Nemo?
He would put the Finding Nemo DVD in to the PlayStation. This makes it sound so old. Into the PlayStation, and just leave it on the
home screen.
The home screen,
like the fish,
because it would be like a fish tank. Yeah. Oh my God, that's so weird to think about. But it made him feel better because things like one night, like one of his stories was
because then he was alone, right?
He would be alone
for like Monday through Thursday.
Yeah, Monday night through Thursday. Through Thursday morning, he would be alone.
Okay.
And so one night, like in the middle of the night, he got up. He went to the bathroom. When he came back, the fan had been like thrown across the room. The TV was off. Things were just different when he got back.
Okay, that's weird.
Yeah, he'd been having
things have been moved.
Yeah, moved. He'd been having occurrences. So, and one of the big ones was that occasionally, sometimes he would feel like a pressure on his chest, like something was on top of him.
No.
Yeah. So,
like that image of the nightmare. Do you know what painting I'm talking about?
No.
Oh my God, I'm forgetting the artist's name, which is bad art historian. Bad.
Remind me, because I'm just going to post it with this episode.
Okay. It's with like this, it's an image of a woman. I think it's from the 19th century. This is so bad because I taught
art historian.
This is so bad because
I have a degree.
And I taught this painting so many times. I'm looking it up because I'm embarrassed.
Don't be embarrassed.
I'm embarrassed. I used to have to know all this
when
stuff.
Was the War of 1812? I can't remember.
Oh, I knew it was Henry Fuseli, The Nightmare.
This was in Dracula Dead and Loving It, I think.
Okay, but it's a painting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know. Well, it's a painting.
Okay, I got it completely wrong. The Nightmare is a 1781 oil painting by Swiss artist Henry Fuseli, and it is a woman deep in sleep. Her arms are then hanging beneath her. She's just like very sexually on the bed.
I think they use this in Dracula Dead and Loving It.
It's a very popular painting to use
for like vampires.
But you can see like there's a little demon.
Kevin's just sitting on her chest.
Kevin is sitting on her chest.
That is an accurate portrayal of Kevin.
Just, very angry.
Yeah, well, not even angry. Just looks kind of like annoyed to be there.
Annoyed, just pissed off.
Like, why aren't my taquitos out of the microwave yet?
Just waiting, just watching those taquitos spin. And it's just wants them. So he's like, I'm just going to sit on this woman's chest. And behind, you see an image of Kevin's dog, Loki.
It looks more like Donkey from Shrek.
So this is a painting of Kevin waiting for taquitos.
Yeah, sitting on some girl's chest.
Poor her.
Yeah, poor her.
But this was it made me think of like the pressure on the chest.
Yeah. So,
I love the painting, by the way.
Yeah, no, it is a cool painting.
But now I'm gonna think of always Kevin the taquitos.
Yeah. Whenever you teach it, you should tell that story. This is my good friend Kevin. Yeah. You should name him Kevin because that's a funny name for that. Really he looks like a little dwarf. Yeah. Anyway, but
so the pressure on the chest.
Yeah. So one night I came home, and the way our bedroom was laid out was Kevin's bed was against the wall near the door. Joe's bed was against the far wall, and then my bed was like weirdly like sticking out
closet.
Where I was for most of my childhood. I was never in the closet.
No. You were born in the rainbow flag.
I was born as a pride parade. Yeah. Anyway. But my bed stuck out into the middle of the room underneath the ceiling fan. And that's important. Otherwise, I wouldn't tell
you love a fan.
I do love a fan. Yeah. I love many fans.
Yeah.
So one night we're going to bed, whatever. I went to shut the door. Kevin was like, don't shut the door. I was like, why can't I shut the door? He was like, just don't shut the door. I was like, well, I'm shutting the door. So I shut the door and I turned the light off because I'm a good brother. Not like even 10 seconds after I turned the light off, he's like, turn the light on, turn the light on, turn the light on. So I like shoot up and I like turn the light on because it's right above me.
Okay.
And I was like, what? And he was like, I feel like there was like something. He's like, there was like something. I was like, Kevin, you're fine.
Like you're thinking like panic attack or like something like
I might. And I knew he had been having like issues, but I was like, you're fine. Mm-hmm. It's fine. So I turned the light off again. Turn the light on, turn the light on, turn the light on. And I'm like, what is going on? He's like, there is something like He's like, I feel like there's something like on top of me.
Wanting taquitos.
Yeah, it wants taquitos and has a weird donkey with it. And I was like, Kevin, you're being ridiculous. I was that guy in every horror movie. I'm like, you're being ridiculous. So I turned the light off again. Or wait, did I turn the light off again? Oh, no? Yes. Hold on, sorry. I can't remember.
Rob's having a little fight with
Forgive
himself
me.
right now.
No, it's also because I told this story on my Spooky Gay Family, but it's been a while since I've thought about it. So sometimes my details get muddled, but the ending is always the same. So it's like, so needless to say, no, I did. I turned the light off again. He was like, turn the light on. And he was like, there's something on me. He's like, I can feel it, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, he's like, if he feels it, he's like, I feel like something is like trying to bite me. Like, it was, like stuff like that. And I was like, Kevin, I'm like freaked out, but I'm also like, Kevin, you're being ridiculous.
Yeah, of course.
You're fine. And I was like, here's what I'll do. My dad was still awake and he was like out in our living room. So like with the light on and everything like that, but the hall light was also, I was like, I'll open the door. I was like, you'll have that. It's like, it won't be that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Whatever. So I open the door. I go back to my bed. I get in. I turn the light off. And then the door slams shut.
Oh my
and
God.
I shut up and turned the light on.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it slammed itself.
And like you said, the windows were closed.
The windows were closed. Like,
so it's not like a gust of wind.
even with a gust of wind, that would have been impressive. It slammed itself.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so that
Did
was...
your dad like come over and like be like...
Surprisingly, no. But we left. I think Kevin turned on Finding Nemo. So yeah, and then but again, like then after that, it was like kind of fine. One time, me, Joe, and Kevin were playing video games, and we had this like little oscillating fan that was going because it was like late spring or early summer.
I mean, you guys have your fans on all the time.
I mean, that is true. But yeah, we were playing the game, and then all of a sudden we were like joking around playing, and all of a sudden it just stopped. It just turned itself off.
Did it short out or
no? Because we laugh about this because this one's kind of just like a silly, funnier one. Because it stopped and it was like right next to me, so we like stopped, paused the game. We all stared at it, and then I just turned it back on. It came back on, and then we just kept playing. But at that point, we had weird experiences, and then like, what's another one? I had one with Sam where we were watching this show that sadly only had like one season, and it was like
Bridalplasty.
No.
Because I love that show and it only had one season.
Although it is creepy. It was not bridal pasty. Jesus Christ.
Yes, bridal pasty.
Bridal pasty. I can't remember what it was called, but it was like The River or something like that. And whatever. And I got up to go to the bathroom. And so she paused it and we were like talking about the episode. And I was standing in front of the bathroom door. And then she went from like just like talking to me to having the most freaked out face I've ever seen. And which is never something you want when somebody is at a distance from you staring at you. Yeah, yeah. And I was like, what? And she was like, I don't know how to explain this other than you were standing there and then your shadow left. Ooh. I was like, excuse me, what? Apparently the like shadow of a figure, like almost like your shadow on the wall type of thing, just like walked out from behind me and then walked down the hall.
So it's like when she first looked at you, the thing was already there. And then
I don't
it's not like
know.
Your shadow left. It's
no,
like,
my actual shadow didn't, but that was like how she explained it.
Because but there wasn't already like a dark figure when she first kind of saw
and
you.
It
but then she didn't notice it was weird until it left.
And the reason why she called it a shadow was because it was like against the wall. Like, think of like Peter Pan's shadow.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Like,
okay. So it's like that kind of situation. And I was like, what?
Yeah, that's a no.
Yeah. And then, and the funny thing is, because then I want to say it was around that time. I don't know how long after I was like in the living room by myself in the middle of the day. And the shadow of like a person against the wall, again, through our living room, started at like where we have like an archway to the kitchen. So it started there on like just like on the wall, stopped, like technically like stopped, if you will, because we had a build. No. It was in the living room. Okay. So like walked, then like where the TV was, it was like in this thing. So I didn't see it for a second, came out on the other side and walked to the archway to where the dining room was. And then I never saw it.
Weird.
Yeah. And that's the only time I saw it. So that was like, and that's kind of how I have other reasons why I've seen a ghost. What else? Oh, I have a funny one. This one makes me laugh. So one night, Kevin and I, as you do, we were doing tarot readings, and we had been doing them for like a while. like I want to say like an hour and a half, 2 hours. And I drink a lot of Snapple and iced tea and stuff like that. So inevitably I also have a small bladder, so I end up having to pee like 700 times. So I got up to go to the bathroom, and I had to walk down the creepy ass fucking hallway in my house. And when I was turning left to go into the bathroom, I thought I saw like out of the corner of my eye from like the knee down of like a person, just like one leg kind of thing. And it was like they were headed, were they headed away from me or were they headed toward me? I can't remember. I want to say they were like headed toward me, which freaked me out.
Yeah.
But then I like went to the bathroom, and then what sucked is I had to open the bathroom door. It took me like a minute. I was like, I don't want to open this door because there's going to be somebody standing there.
That's creepy.
But like I opened it and then I like ran to my room because I didn't want to see anything again. Then we went back to it. We're doing more tarot, like whatever. I had to pee again.
Of course.
I don't think I saw anything that time.
Huh.
Maybe I did. I can't remember. I cannot remember anymore. But then after that, came back to the room, went to bed. I go to get in bed. And my bed now was up against the wall. I had moved it from being in the middle. And I'm like in bed, the fan's on, whatever. And all of a sudden, the blanket next to me up against the wall raises like somebody's getting into bed with me. Yes. Which I like sleeping alone.
That's uncomfortable.
Yeah, no thank you to fucking that. So that freaked me out, but it kind of made me laugh because I didn't feel like it was malevolent. It just felt
wanted
funny.
A little bed companion.
Yeah, it was weird. It was very, you know what it made me think of? It made me think of Scary Movie 2. Which, you know what I'm talking about with Tori Spelling?
I'm not remembering, but I watched it like only a year ago too.
Did you? I mean, realistically, it's not like that at all. It was just very funny to me. Joe had one once, and it was funny because I remember I was awake, and he got into bed, and then like shortly after that, all I heard was him like, nope, and he like got up, left the room, and he went and slept out on the couch.
Really? And he wouldn't wake you guys up to be like,
this was no, Joseph would not. But then he told us later that he like felt like something like grab him or something like that.
He's like, by the way,
yeah,
I left you in a room with a ghost.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, Kevin and I had technically been in there for like hours to sleep because Joe used to go to bed at like 2 a.m.
I mean, he still does.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah. And our golden retriever was alive. He, whenever he was in that room, he would like bark at the corners and stuff like that. There was something,
and they know.
There. Yeah, they do know.
That's why, like, I feel that our house that we're currently in, I don't think has anything in it because I have 3 dogs who, and as you've all heard, Potato loves to speak. Yeah. And
well, the worst thing ever could be is if you heard Potato go, and then you heard something in the darkness goes, back to him.
It's like, I want a carrot. You know, it's funny that now, like, I'm hearing your stories with your brothers and sisters. My brother and I talk about the house that we grew up in our hometown when we went to like high school and everything. We were there for about like 10 something years. Time means nothing in my head anymore. I have no idea.
I know it's hard because it's like you'd be like, this happened 3 years ago, and you're like, no, it didn't.
But we were there a lot of our childhood, and we both lived. Our rooms were down, like, so if you went up the stairs, you walked down a hallway. Our rooms were like, he was at the very end of the hallway, and then I was like the room next to him, and then our parents' room was like when you first off the stairs, like right there, and then there was like another room and there was a bathroom. So like that was the organization of the house upstairs. There was like a crazy attic off my mother's bathroom. Like you had to like go through like a tiny little doorway, which I was always freaked out about.
As much as freaky as it is, I kind of love that. But sorry, continue.
Yeah, but would not want it. And then because I just imagine like you're in the bathtub being like, I'm gonna have a nice cozy soak, and then the door just goes.
What are you doing?
Like,
attics are notoriously creepy.
Oh yeah. But there was another attic above. The entrance was above like my brother and my room, so it's like in the end of the hallway. It was one of those pull down ones. Oh, okay. And the stairs can come down, and then you go
just
up.
Like outside ours.
Yeah. So I terrified of it, and we don't have any attics in this house. Maybe that's why we don't have a ghost.
It's because you live in the attic.
Yeah, that's it. I am the ghost.
You are the ghost of your house.
But we would. At least for me, I was always afraid of it, and that's one of the things I was reading about ghost stories. It was like you can project kind of your fear, and then your mind kind of like sees things out of the corner of your eye. And I was a very anxious kid, so I'm wondering if it was like, was it a ghost, or was it just like a squirrel running on top of the house? Or
I mean, that's fair.
I'm just being skeptical, but I don't think I saw anything. My brother keeps referencing there was one time that there was a vase in the office, which was like on the main floor of the house, and that it fell down, and he was like, there was nobody in there, so
so like what knocked it down?
And we both kind of like talk about the house like having like kind of like a spooky vibe once in a while. But what's weird is if I have nightmares about like a haunted house, it's always that house.
Really? And, I mean, that actually makes sense.
But like it always conjures like my mind thinking like something scary and like haunted there. It's like it's
still there.
It's still there.
Yeah.
And like the basement was really creepy, and like at the back of the basement there was like the furnace boiler or something or other, and like it was like this very like dark part of it, and
they're
I was
always
like,
in
no.
weird rooms. Yeah.
And I was like, I always just felt very scared. And like you know, you run up the basement stairs, you never want to go up the attic, and like,
and there's always like some weird door at the end of the basement stairs for no reason that's just meant to creep you out.
But like it's weird that after living in the house, I think about it being haunted, but I can not remember feeling that way that a lot of the time living there. It's weird.
Okay. I mean, my thing is this. So like my experience of growing up in a haunted house was that like there would be days, weeks, months where nothing would happen.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden, for no reason at all, shit would go down for like, whether it be like an hour, a week, a month, you know, like it would just,
be in flux.
It would just happen. Like, and like, not when you expected it, because whoever expects it, but like, shit would happen. And that's why, like, I know there's plenty of people who are skeptic and they say that ghosts aren't real and like all that stuff, and I'm like, well, that's just because you haven't experienced it.
Like, I know Kyle really wants to see one because he is such a skeptic with literally everything.
Well, that's why I wish that we had gotten to do. So one of the things I do want to talk
about. We signed up.
I know
for the lifelong membership.
I know we should do one this year. Because I would love to talk about that now because we do have time anyway. Because when we went, we had experiences. We had legit experiences.
What we're talking about was like a New Jersey Ghost Hunter Association. Yeah, you and Jess were like, Candace, sign up. And then we did. And then we every ghost hunt got like rained out, or like you guys had a previous commitment and we wanted to go with you or something.
Yeah, so, like you guys couldn't go to the second one, and then we ended up not being able to go either. And then they added one, but it like didn't work. But we did get
one night it was like really bad thunderstorm.
I think that was the third one because I think we were gonna go, and then we couldn't.
Yeah. So we just had a game night instead.
Yeah, we have to do that this year again because when we went to the first one, we went to the cemetery in Blairstown, and I met some very interesting people.
I'm sure you did.
They were all very, and I will say this, they were all very sweet. They were all very cool. You have to, in order to do like actual ghost hunts of people's houses and stuff like that, you have to do like these training things, and they take you to these cemeteries, and like they don't train you at all. You basically just go. Like we were told we were going to be trained. We didn't get trained. But my sister, being my sister, went and bought like all the equipment and like all that fun stuff.
She is an amazingly prepared person.
Yes, she is. She does not fuck around. No. But it was really cool because like we went because there was a specific like story about the cemetery about this young girl who had been like murdered or something like that, and so we were gonna go to like her grave and like that kind of stuff, whatever. We ended up just kind of like walking around the cemetery with this group of people, and this one girl who had been on many of these types of things came with like a full kit and caboodle. But ironically, one of the things that she brought that I thought was like so ingenious and so funny at the same time was one of those little cat toys that is a ball that lights up when they bat it around.
Okay.
Which sounds like you're like, why would you bring that? But then like there was this one grave of this kid who had passed away, and we were getting like weird activity around it.
Yeah.
And so she put the ball down in front of the grave, and we were all being quiet. We were doing like, we had like the recording going so that we could see if we could hear something, which we did.
Oh.
Yeah, it was really cool. We got like
hello, Robert.
No. It was like, they asked a question and there was like an answer.
How old are you? Adult.
It was something, nope, not like that, thank God. But it was like, we were joking because it was a lot like Phasmophobia. But then it was funny because now she, depending, like, this is the thing. So other people are going to say like, oh, you know, she put it on the ground, whatever. But, like, I'm telling you, she put it down on the ground. It sat there for a really long time. They asked him to move it. And shortly after that, the ball rolled.
And this was not like I have to ask, it's not like attached to, like, fishing line that she
No,
has
she just put it down. And, like, she put it down, and they asked him to move it. And shortly after that, he moved it. That's the only, because it had been sitting there for like 5 minutes unmoved.
I know, but like it's not like she's not like holding it attached to a string, and she's just like,
no. I promise you, she put it down like, and that was it. Like
okay.
I got to hold the ball myself. Like it wasn't attached to anything. I have like a whole other story that I could tell in another episode. It's like, it's a long one. It's the one about the asylum that I went to with like Christina, her boyfriend, all that. That's a good one. But well,
I think we need to have a separate ghost episode talking more about locations.
Yeah. Oh, I agree.
Because I feel like today, like, we're talking about like our own personal experiences with like living in one and working in a haunted one. So if we should do another episode of exploring going out there. And I have talked to you about that we should take our podcast on the road for one episode and like record out at a location.
The reason I brought that up. No, it's okay. You're fine. The reason I had brought it up is because at that one of the things I've kind of like found out is that like when you're in like a ghostly situation and like you like make like, I don't want to say like contact because it makes me sound like what's her face. But like when you make like almost like contact with a ghost, it like, you know how like you get like those shivers and it sounds stupid, but that has happened to me multiple times, and every single time it was because like to give you an idea, at the cemetery. For this, I had the EMF reader, which, you know, whatever. We went to this other grave, and we were having like the same kind of thing. We were having like a little bit of like stuff going on, and it was like at one point, I just knew the EMF was going to go off because I got like a shiver down my spine, and then it went straight to 4.
Oh,
it was weird. Like, and this happens to me all the time in these situations. No, only in these situations. Thankfully, not like when I'm just at home and not like, woo. Like, no. But it's like
right through me.
Yeah, like, right, literally. And it sounds so stupid, and I feel stupid saying it because there's gonna be people out there who are like, you're so full of shit. But like realistically, like when like I'm telling you, like if you go and do these kinds of things, and like you have any kind of experience at all, you start to notice these kinds of things. So it was like that happened. And then this one woman, okay, this is the fucking craziest thing. This is the creepiest thing ever. And there's going to be so many people who refute it, and I don't give a shit because I was there. So Xbox made this thing. It was like Xbox Connect or whatever.
Okay.
And like basically like...
Wait, is it the one like where you could see the green stuff?
Yeah, it's like the green dots.
Yes, they did that in Paranormal Activity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, so no, not like the green dots that like come out and like...
Oh, okay.
No. So it's like... She had like an iPad, Jesus Christ. And she had it connected to that. And what it does is like, so it's like a camera. Okay. But what it does is like when there's like a person on screen, it like kind of like maps them out in order to match their movements in the game.
And it's like it's
like a figure.
Yeah, but it's like a stick figure, right?
Yeah, like a stick figure.
Yeah, I've seen that on like some other show.
Yeah, so but she uses it in the sense because if there is a spirit that we can't see,
it tracks it.
It will track it on the Xbox Connect or whatever it is. And at a couple points, like there was nobody, like she was just holding the thing up and she's looking at the screen and it's pointed away from her.
Yeah.
And a couple times we saw there was like a grave for this like one, I forget what it was, but like there were cats all over it. So there was cats buried with like somebody there.
Nice.
And at one point there was like on the gravestone itself, it showed like a cat, like it looked like on the Connect, like it was like in
like
the shape
the body.
of a cat.
Okay.
Yeah, like in the shape of a cat.
Oh.
And then there was and then she like kind of like at one point she turned it and there was like a stick figure like standing in the middle of the cemetery. It was creepy as shit.
I need to ask this because like I think I mentioned I was on like a couple episodes ago like TikTok one night and I stumbled across a live TikToker video of a guy doing like a haunt in a basement of one place, and he did a similar thing with like, I don't know if it was like the Xbox thing, but it was a camera that mapped figures, right?
Yeah.
And he said like the camera when it turns to it, sometimes there could be like false readings.
I'm sure that
like you have to then like, because sometimes it will track like, oh, it's something on a table, so it thinks it's like a human form,
and it's trying to create.
It's trying to understand, but like. He says, like, if you, like, move the camera away and come back, and if it's still there, that means something. It's not just, like, the camera had a false recording.
Yeah.
Did she like do any of that, or did it stay in the same spot?
I mean, for the most part, like it would stay in the same spot.
Okay.
She would turn. Sometimes she would go back. It would still be there.
Okay, so then that's not just like a false reading.
Yeah, and like the other thing is like I want people to understand like we're not all just like a bunch of idiots like in the middle of like this thing doing this. Like all these people are very skeptical. They're trying to prove it to be false in order to say that it's real.
Okay.
So like she did that. She would like try and do like it was like literally like they were doing everything. And again, the girl put the cat toy down again, which sounds stupid, but I mean especially like with the one where there was cats buried, she put it down. It moved again. Like, you know, it was a lot of stuff like that. It was really cool.
That's interesting.
Yeah. The EMF went off a bunch of times.
So if I was to ask you if you give me a percentage between 0 and 100, 100 being the most you believe in ghosts, where do you fall in the belief of...
100.
100?
100%. Which kind of goes against what my belief system is a little bit, because I believe in reincarnation. But I guess that if you, like, I don't know, maybe there's a queue. Like, maybe maybe you have to wait a little bit, you know, and you're stuck between.
Are you saying purgatory?
I wouldn't call it purgatory. Because
that's a very medieval belief.
It is. Well, because my thing with purgatory is that, like, it's a notion to get into heaven. My thing is, it would be more like, it's just like an in-between you reincarnating. So it's not like a punishment. You know what I mean? It's just...
A limbo.
A limbo, yeah. I don't know. That's what, I mean, again, that's my personal belief. I don't think it makes sense. Like, because first of all, everybody I know hates crowds. So if you die and you go to heaven and literally everybody is there, that sounds like hell to me. Like, unless you get your own little slice of it, I can't imagine. I don't want to be around all those people. I don't like all the people here. What makes me think I'm going to like everybody up there? I don't think that's possible. I don't think that's, you know what I mean? And just to me, it just doesn't make sense. Like the notion that we all die and this is like finite in that way.
I haven't like spent enough time, I think, thinking about it.
Okay.
And I think that's a problem for another Candace time.
It's probably something we should talk about on this one.
Oh, I don't know if I want to get... Not yet.
Doesn't death creep you out?
Oh.
It creeps me out.
So much. But I just want to say right now there's a lot going on in my life. Let's wait till this later part of the summer and then we can go there. Okay. I think that's just one I'm like, I gotta wait a little bit.
We found another one that's like aliens for you?
I am so scared about death and... But I think the notion of ghosts, I love, we have to talk about like, we can go into the whole historical story of kind of like ghosts because it changes per culture, it changes per time period. The medieval belief of ghosts is fascinating. I got some great stories about revenants. Did my master's dissertation on them. Love them. Love it.
You know what I think I feel bad for? I feel bad for 200 years from now when all the Karen ghosts are just cycling through.
I'm just going through.
Like haunting lemonade stands.
Just lemonade stands.
Well, just like, some ghost like, who's that? She's like, I called the police on you, and then she disappears.
It's a very interesting topic. I think if I was to kind of put myself in like what percentage do I believe, because I feel like
I should have asked you that.
No, it's fine. I feel like because I haven't had a real encounter myself, I'm like,
well, let me tell you
50-50.
something. If you buy one of these old ass friggin' houses from like the 1800s, I think you might start having them.
I know. And like the thing is that I'll be like, oh, why did I do this to myself? But then I'll be like, oh.
I mean, I will say this. In our case with our haunted house, like there was obviously like the things that were going on with Kevin, and Sam had some like crazy ones. But I never had, aside from the time the door slammed, which I think it did that a couple times.
The closets, didn't that door move too?
I was just afraid of that. I mean, it would move, but it was also like, it never slammed, I don't think. I don't know. I could be wrong. But, like, I didn't really have any, like, super bad
It wasn't very malicious to you.
Yeah, I never had, like, it was never like one of these horror movies where, like, the ghost is, like, actively, like, trying to
drag you out of the bed.
Yeah, it's not like paranormal activity. Yeah, like, it was just
didn't
more
take
like,
over your body.
Yeah, and, like, my dad actually, you know, and it's something we never actually talked about. My dad, when he was, like, right out of college, he moved into, like, an old farmhouse with some of his friends. They were renting it. And they had a ghost who was probably a poltergeist, realistically, because like they would be like cooking in the kitchen, and like they'd put something down on the counter, they'd turn to grab it, and it was now across the room.
See, that's something.
Yeah, like and like so he would have that kind of stuff, and like he was like it was just more annoying than anything.
It's like,
in the sense,
damn, my
like,
soup is over there.
Yeah,
now.
like I put something down, and now I got to go get it out the other side of the room. Like that happened to me once with
Rice-A-Roni?
No. With chapstick.
Oh, chapstick.
Yeah. I was getting ready to leave the house, and I always keep like my things that I take with me, like my wallet, my chapstick, all that fun stuff. I always keep it together. Like now, because generally I wear like a cap out whenever I put it all in the cap and then I put it down. But at the time, I went to go get all my things and my chapstick wasn't there, and I was like, well, that's fucking annoying. So I was
It's
like,
obviously Kevin.
Obviously, Kevin, yeah. So I was like looking around, I was like trying to think of where I could have put it down. And I was like walking around the house, and like, you know how like when you get annoyed because something isn't there, so you want to believe that somebody else moved it.
Yeah.
Because
you can blame somebody.
Yeah, because then
It's
you
not
can
your own
blame
fault.
somebody and like you're like all mad about it, but then in the back of your mind, like who the fuck would move chapstick?
Yeah.
And why?
It was me. I went there.
You know what? I knew it.
Yeah.
But so eventually, like I go back to my room, I'm like looking at it, I'm like, maybe I just missed it. And I turn, and like I had picked up everything else, and where everything else had been just sitting, like just sitting there, like in the middle of like my nightstand, like with nothing around it, was my chapstick. And I was like, there's no fucking way I missed it.
You know who it is? It's Injured Cool.
Fuck that bitch.
It's definitely the Mothman.
I hate him. It was in my shoe.
Whole time.
The whole time. He called me after that. Yeah, no, so I have like weird
You have
stuff
an
like that.
annoying situation with a ghost.
Yeah, now we don't have anything. Now it's gone. It has not come back in years, and like all that fun stuff.
Let's just see what happens tonight.
Don't say that. Yeah, I'm trying to think if we have any other.
Like I just that I want my future house to have a ghost. I just want the vibe of like what you see in the 90s ghost movies, like that house, like, you know, the beautiful old Victorian or Georgian estate.
I will say having a ghost is not always a bad thing.
I don't want my day to be haunted. I think my dogs would be very pissed off as well. So, but I want the vibe of like your house looks like it could be haunted because it's that old and beautiful. I would love to have a ghost experience. I may not want to live with one.
I mean, if you have a ghost experience, it's because you live with one. Although like, you have them at Drew, so.
You know, but I haven't had, I feel like, I've had like these moments, right? Like, and I've heard the stories and I felt like, why was that door not open?
Yeah.
But personally, I feel like I have not had the experience.
Okay.
That could say like to me, I'm like, I fully believe.
I mean, it's hard because the stories I told, I feel like, while they are very like, oh my God, in some cases, the one I didn't tell about like the asylum and everything that we're going to save for another episode is really what solidified my belief in ghosts and my belief in whatever, that or my belief in collective hallucination. So, but yeah.
I mean, we can even continue this in next week's episode, make this a two-parter.
We could. We should do that.
I think we should do that.
We should do a two-parter.
I think there's so much out there that we've only kind of scratched the surface.
I agree.
I have some really cool, like, historical little bits of info.
Yeah, and we are already almost an hour and a half
we're almost at time. So, I mean, there's so many ghosty friends out there.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's interesting. And I know, like...
And it's great because it means that I don't have to do any fucking research for next week.
I know you don't like to read.
No, it's because I can't. No, just kidding. No, it's always easier when I don't have to do hours of research.
I'm so fascinated by ghosts, supernatural, or like, you know, undead bodies coming back. Like there's the corporal or uncorporal revenant.
Yeah.
And I love it so much. I mean, I spent a whole year of my life researching like this for my master's, but that was always just medieval stuff. But like, even saints are creepy.
Yeah.
And I love them so much. And that's why, like, there must be something, but I just have not had that experience that has solidified it for me.
Yeah, we're gonna change that for you. We're gonna go on one of these ghost
Well, I
hunts.
signed up. I paid the $25 fee.
We should. I'm gonna check it right now.
Right now.
Oh, I probably shouldn't because we're in the middle of recording.
Dead air.
But dead air.
Yeah, but I mean, I get scared by things. I love I love haunted house movies. Those are my favorite type of horror movie. I do too.
I agree.
And it's just that supernatural fear I think is amazing. I'm so annoyed and bothered when it's always a demon because I'm just like, oh, stop it. So Lorraine.
It's also just like, I don't not believe in demons and stuff like that. I just don't really
see, and that's where I want to kind of unpack it in next week's episode, because if we break it down, the medieval belief in actually ghosts and demons is kind of has carried through a lot of our pop culture today, because for them, if you're haunted by something, it's either a demon or it's a spirit that has come back from somebody's body.
Okay.
And if it's corporal or not, the same thing. Could be a demon possessing or not. And that has kind of been the same thing if you talk about like our supernatural movies, right? It's like, oh, it's a demon possessing them, or it's like a spirit that is not yet laid to rest.
Yeah, or is like super agitated by you being in the house.
And I got some really fun stories to share next week about some medieval revenants.
I love that.
Did you find the date for it?
I can't find the fucking thing now.
Well, you gotta learn how to read, Rob.
I know. There's so many letters, though.
So we'll figure it out. And
I wonder if this thing like stopped happening.
Well, I want my $50 back.
All right, it was a lifetime. I'm gonna find this. Hold on.
I love going to graveyards. I think there's something almost beautiful and sweet about them. I love gravestones. I know you have to be very careful about cleaning people's gravestones because you don't want to scratch the stone. You have to like do a special cleaner. Yeah, you have
to be very careful.
But I would love to become like one of those people who's like, I'm going to get the proper, like a little toolbox for cleaning graves and like maybe like spend Sunday mornings and just kind of cleaning people's old graves.
You want to do that?
I would do it.
I would. I mean, I wouldn't have a problem with it. It's just not something I'd be like, I should go do that.
Not that I should do it, but I think it's going to be like a nice little hobby.
Nice little hobby. What do you do in your downtime? I cleave.
Every Sunday morning, I clean a gravestone.
I clean gravestones. It's like a very long process.
It's not that bad, I think, when you have the proper stuff. Like, you need, like, the right brushes, and you don't need to, the right soaps, because you could really do some damage if you're doing it improperly. Also, there's one cemetery not far from my house now that I've taken actually a lot of our Halloween photos in. Like, my Beetlejuice costume for Halloween and my Lydia from Beetlejuice one. There was, I think, another... Oh, Night Before Christmas, we did there, too. The gravestones are so old, they're falling over. So it's actually, like, you should not go near some of the old ones. Like,
really?
They have toppled.
Oh, that's kind of sad.
It's sad.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's sad.
There is one gravestone with the last name Hands on it.
Hands.
I like that one.
Of course. Oh, I found it.
Oh, what do we have?
The only reason why is because the woman who runs it, her name is Laura, but she calls herself Laura. Which,
tell me how you feel.
That's stupid. Let me see if they're doing any this year. Okay, I don't care about Laura. That's the one thing. How do I get back to?
Well, you know what? We can post the information if people are interested.
It's comprised of 899 members nationally and internationally. And me, Kevin, Carmen, and Jessica are 4, and you and Kyle are 6. So
it's not that big. But I would really love to go on a ghost hunt. I'd love to go to a graveyard. I'd love to kind of see things with my own eyes, just to see like things are not edited. Because I'm very skeptical. Understandably.
It's pretty cool, not gonna lie. I had a great time. Let's see. So apparently they have monthly meetings every third Tuesday of the month from 7 to 8 in Hackettstown.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't see any graveyard hunts that are currently...
Well, maybe we should send Laura a message.
Yeah, we should send her. Maybe they're not planning on doing any this year, or maybe they are. I don't know.
Well, then I want my money back.
Yeah, I kind of hope they decide to. I mean, realistically, you didn't really need to go. We could do it ourselves.
Well, I'm interested. I want to go to some and explore and get spooked.
I agree.
I like getting scared.
Same
like supernaturally scary stuff.
And honestly, it didn't actually feel scary. It just felt kind of cool. It was really fun.
Yeah, I know. And Kyle really wanted to go. We were both really bummed that night got rained out.
Yeah, realistically, we could probably plan it ourselves and do something.
We could do that. I mean, Jess has so much equipment now.
Yeah, we'd be fine.
Yeah. Well, We will continue with part 2 next week.
Yeah, part 2. Our first part 1, part 2.
Look at us. Well, we've had other parts that we have not completed.
We plan on coming back, but we didn't plan on doing it like that.
Yeah, no, but I think there's so much, and we have gotten requests from listeners to talk more about ghosts. So
okay.
I think
we were trying to save it a little bit. We didn't want to jump right into ghosts, but so it's time.
I love ghosts.
Yeah.
I love them. I have a couple ghosts tattooed on me.
We're just going to do ghosts for the rest of the year. This is part 1 of 50.
No. No, because there are other little creepies that I need to go down. I know.
No, I'm just kidding.
Like werewolves. I've been wanting to talk about werewolves for a while.
Okay. That sounds fun. I can do werewolves.
Yeah. Not something that nearly as funny as our banshees or washerwoman.
No, the washerwoman still.
Throw those titties over your shoulder.
It's the weirdest fucking thing I've ever heard of.
Oh, when I tell people about it, they're still like, "You're making this up." I was like, I wish.
I wish. Like, I had to read about all this.
I had to read about those titties.
Oh my god.
Well, until next time, hope you guys, if you want to like share some of your
stories.
Share
your ghost stories. We want to know.
And then we could
I love them.
talk a little bit about them in the next episode if you guys get them to us in
time.
time.
Send them in. Send them to me or Candace on Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook or Instagram.
Yeah. Or if you're not already, there is a This Creeps Me Out fan group created by Cece.
Yes, and also don't forget to subscribe on all your podcast networks, and if you want to leave a comment, that would be greatly appreciated.
Yes, please leave a comment and review and all that fun
Since
stuff.
we are a new podcast, it really helps us to kind of get noticed and share your love of This Creeps Me Out if you do love us. If not, don't say anything.
Yeah, if you don't, just forget what we just said. Yeah. Don't do any of that.
Well, until next time.
Yeah, until part 2.
Bye.
Bye, guys.